as old as it is, in order for us to be here having this conversation. This, I think, is an argument that needs to be answered, and I'll wait to see whether it is. I want to make a final point in my time about, am I on time? My time is up. Thank you very much.
8 minutes. Mr. Hitchens will have 8 minutes, timekeepers.
Okay, well, I'll do it directly, because this is starting to be fun. I don't want to change the goalposts, of course, but I don't actually think that loving your enemy is always a moral injunction. There are some enemies I don't love, and I don't think I should. It's not my right for people who might want to kill you and your children, or kill my children. It's not my right to love these people. It's my duty to destroy them, to defeat them. There's nothing moral about saying, let them have their way, turn the other cheek. That would simply be my political, my secular, rather than my theological view. But I do think there is a problem with the rest of what Dinesh said on this point. The other injunctions about love, and we'll stay just with Christianity for the moment. A problem I always had with it was compulsory love. Not you're compelled to love your neighbor, or even not just to love him, but to remember to love him or her as you love yourself. An injunction that actually cannot be obeyed. Nobody with any integrity and self-respect can have the same regard for another person as he has for himself and perhaps his family. It's not to be expected. It's more than can be demanded. It's a work of supererogation. And it has the sinister corollary that because you know you can never quite do it, you're always falling short. You must always flagellate yourself for failing to come up to this magnificent idea. You're always going to be guilty again. You can't possibly be right. You're always in a state of sin. And this has the connotation, again, of the totalitarian. A law you cannot obey. Further, you're supposed to return this love to someone who is your creator. And you're told, in addition to being compelled to love this person, you must also fear him. Is there not a problematic element here? Compulsory love for a being, a supreme being, of whom you must also, at all times, always be in fear. When I think of this, the image I get is of George Orwell's Big Brother in 1984, where adoration is extracted from people who are in a state of holy terror. It doesn't seem like morality to me. Now, the so-called golden rule, that we should have the same consideration for others that we expect them to have for us, is a very fine rule in its way. It has a limitation I'm about to mention, but it's a decent enough rule, and it's not hysterical, and it's not totalitarian, and it doesn't demand the impossible of people. Don't do to another what would be repulsive if they did it to you. We know that that was said by Rabbi Hillel long before Christianity, Babylonian rabbi. Something almost exactly in that form of words also appears in the Analects of Confucius. So it predates monotheism altogether. Some such idea is obviously innate to us. It's commonsensical. The limitation, I'll just mention it conversationally, is it's a rule that's only really as good as the person who's uttering it. The person who's uttering it must be a person of average moral character, because there are many people, let me think of an example. Well, Charles Manson, for example. It's ludicrous for me to say of him that I don't want anything done to him I wouldn't want done to myself. Obviously, I want different things to happen to Charles Manson. I don't judge it by what I think I'm entitled to. So the rule is in danger of becoming tautologous and of breaking down. And that's why I don't think that there are, in that sense, religious or moral absolutes. And why it never makes any sense to say that we wouldn't know right from wrong if we couldn't refer it upwards to the unseen celestial court. There will always, unfortunately, be ethical and moral approximations, and that's part of the curse of our mammalian condition. Now, I deliberately did not say that suicide bombing, I think the record will show, was an exclusively religious monopoly. I said it was almost exclusively a religious monopoly, because I know myself about the Tamil Tigers. And I agree with what Dinesh said about that. I said the genital mutilation of infants community was exclusively religious. But if I'd been going to make an exception on the suicide murder and suicide bombing one, I wouldn't have chosen the Japanese kamikaze. After all, their emperor was a god in Japan. Japan was one of the most completely theocratic of the three countries that made up the Nazi-fascist axis. The emperor was, until he renounced his divinity, rather conveniently in 1945, a god. So anyone committing a kamikaze action was doing it to please the